Hi guys, those of you that have been watching the channel for a while will have probably worked out that Laurie and I own quite a few vehicles, and there's a few that we haven't really talked about. Now, over the last few months, we've been working hard to try and find ourselves a little space to keep some of the vehicles while we're working on them and while we're not using them, and have a little bit of a storage area and basically a giant man cave. Well, that's now nearly finished, so I thought we'd do this little video showing you around basically our collection, giving you a quick update on some of the vehicles you may have seen and been wondering what they're doing, and also introduce you to a few vehicles that you may not have seen yet. So, we have 3 bays here. This bay is meant to be mine. Now, up front and center, we have the mighty MG, the latest addition to the fleet. There's going to be a full video on prepping the MG, which may have come out before this one or may come out afterwards. So if you want to know more about that one, there'll be content on that. My Elise is here. The Elise is going to be due a service soon, and I need to get a new exhaust on it. Somebody very kindly sent me a stock exhaust for this, which I need to put on because I want to be able to use this car on track, and the exhaust on it at present is far too noisy and just rattles and kind of annoys me. So that needs to be done fairly soon, and that's part of the reason this car is in here. Also, I've just been using the Evora at the minute, which is pretty much the only car of mine that isn't here. Now at the back, we have a couple of cars you won't have seen. To my left, we have this fantastic Toyota Previa. This is the car that's going to be taking us to the Scrappage Rally this year. So in a month's time, this car is going to be in Romania and will never ever darken UK roads ever again. And today we're here to basically prep this and make it scrappage worthy. So keep an eye out for that video as well. Over here we have the first of Laurie's items. So I'm going to pass you over to him, and he's going to talk you through his part of the collection, which takes up a suspiciously larger amount of this place than mine does. Over to you, Laurie.
So this is my first of my fine, fully functioning, not needing any work automobiles. Peugeot 106. Genuinely one of the best cars ever made. That's a Wingo. Then we get onto the slightly larger of my vehicles. This is Jupiter, which it's a fire engine. It's quite large. James likes the fact that it's large, and it takes up an entire bay on its own. It's also built in 1981. Which makes it nice and old and a little bit interesting, quirky.
Does it work?
Yes, fully functioning, apart from the fact it doesn't charge batteries, which is very embarrassing because trying to jump a 24-volt vehicle when there aren't any other 24-volt vehicles is challenging. So it's presently on the charger, and just every time we come in we charge it up, and it works, and it needs little bits doing. It's got a couple of little leaks and things, but on the road, functioning, and could drive it our way if we so desired. Number 2, you might recognise this from our famous video and well-received video, Lorries to the edge of England to buy a fire engine. This is pretty much where it was when we came home, apart from it's undercover, and now it doesn't start on the button. If you have seen the video, you'll witness the beautiful eraser sparks as the gentleman used a spanner to bridge the gap on the starter motor. That's how we have to start it now, because the wiring has given up. Apart from that, we've had mechanics look at it, and it's pretty much solid. The back half, it's fine. The engine's fine. Transmission, drive, everything else is fine. The cab is suspect. The floor of the cab is particularly suspect, and possibly the matting that is the floor is the most structural part of the floor of the cab. Presently I can't do anything with it. I need to get about £100 worth of hydraulic hosing to be able to tip the cab, and then we can lift it and go, oh my god, that's bad. That's the Dodge, and that's where that is. But a good candidate, and basically fine, despite what everybody tells me. Basically fine. Moving on, we have my Lotus, because James had Lotuses, and I felt that I should have a Lotus. I've wanted one of these since before I knew what it was. I knew it was a Lotus, and that's all I knew. So this predates meeting James. This is a Lotus Elite. It's also, as far as we're aware, pretty much unique. Most Lotus Elites, the surviving few of them, don't have this interesting stylistic bulge here. But that's because my Elite has a V8 in it. And it also has the carburetors poking up just slightly proud of the bonnet. We have a plan, and we've located the parts to be able to move bits around so I can get rid of this not so pleasant bulge. But apart from that, it's got a Rover dash in it rather than the really nice Elite dash, which is a bit of a shame, but it kind of looks kind of cool. It's got Sierra steering, Rover gearbox, Rover V8, and then it's also on an Elite, an Excel chassis, so it shouldn't rust away, which is a good start, meaning it's a interesting bodge of cars. It also has this amazing, if you notice here, this beautiful smooth, you can't see at all where the doors were, where the door handles were, system of opening it, that you need to push. Now that is cool, and you can see my nice interior. So yes, currently also on the road and needing work. Lots of works, but going to be half decent project. This I had my eye on for as long as I've known the owner of the shed, and I have wanted it for about the same amount of time. When we came to clear out this shed, which has taken us many, many months, the tractor was left in about this area. In fact, it's moved about 6 foot from where it's spent the last 20 years. The conversation was, well, it's in our space now, do you want it or can I have it? And more or less they went, I can have it. So this is a little Massey Ferguson 35. The bonnet's over there. It used to have a front lifter on it, and that's now scattered throughout the shed where James will never find it. And it does not work yet. I'm sure it will work, and there is nothing fundamentally wrong with it, apart from the fact it hasn't started for 25 years, we think, but we're not really sure. Nothing happens when you put a battery on it. The engine will turn over, so it's not seized, and that's good, and it has oil in it, but it also leaks hydraulic oil and has a flat tyre, and there's lots of things that need to be done to it. But this will be lovely. It's great. And finally, I'm going around here. And finally, on our grand tour of the shed, we have the Rolls-Royce, which is a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, which was originally built in 1971, but isn't registered till 73. Presumably it spent 2 years sat on the showroom. This was not one of the cars that I planned on acquiring. We did a wedding for some friends because we had cars, and this was owned by some of my friends, and I asked, could we borrow it? Because it's a nice wedding car, it's a Rolls Royce and it's white, perfect. It turns out that it was a lot easier for me to own the car than it was to add me to the policy. So we acquired a Rolls Royce. I'm quite happy about this because it's quite lovely. It needs work. We acquired it in the state where it hadn't run in a bit, and it's given us some issues in the return of not running for a bit. For instance, it seems to leak fluid. We think power steering fluid, and so when you start it, it's a bit smoky. But that's atmospheric. You kind of drive out with smoke, and that's cool. But it drives and handles like a Rolls Royce, which is to say, it's like being on a boat on the road. It's very undulating and smooth and lovely. Also, it's got a tow hook because the previous owner, or previous owner, used to take it on shows with his caravan. So we have the ability to tow with a Rolls Royce, which is wonderful and a little strange. I actually adore this car. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it looks superb. It needs, as with all of my vehicles, it needs work, but it's really, really nice.
To answer the question that we basically started the video with, how many vehicles do we own? So I've got the Evora, the Elise. I also have, at present, an XL project car of my own. let's just say, for the purposes of video, I own the MG, although it's really a half and half affair, and also this lovely Toyota. So that's 5 for me.
4.5. 4.5.
5. You've got 2 fire engines.
2 fire engines.
Tractor.
The tractor.
A roller.
The Rolls Royce.
Either your Elite.
The Elite.
106 and the MR2.
Yeah, that brings me up to 7.
7. So...
And a half.
We have 12 vehicles between the two of us. This is not intentional. We do not have unlimited funds.
This was entirely intentional. I have no money presently because I have...
Neither of us have any money anymore because whenever we have any, we buy stuff with it. So basically, if you guys want to see more about any of these vehicles, we're going to do videos on all of these vehicles as and when we can. However, if there's ones in particular you want to see something on, tell us and we'll try and prioritize it. Something you want to say for yourself?
I was going to say, please don't be the Rolls because it's such a pain in the ass to get it out. That's got to move. That's got to move. That's got to move. It's going to be the Rolls, isn't it?
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Say bye.
Bye, people.